Thank you everyone for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about technology skills for students. I am the electrifying Dr. Manuel Rosa. I'm a professor at Kaiser University. I teach in the Master's in Education department, and I also teach in the PhD department. And I'm also the chair of the assessment committee. So it's my privilege to be here and talk to you today about technology skills for students. So today we're gonna talk about the basic functions of Microsoft Word. I'm gonna show you some videos on strategies to teach students how to use Microsoft Word, or talk to you about some strategies. And then, but the beginning of our presentation and the majority of it is going to be talking about tools to assist students with disabilities in Office 365. Hopefully, many of your school districts do have Office 365. Um, and on your computers as well as the computers that were distributed to your students. I currently, and most of this is going to be 99% of it is going to be focusing on PCs, Windows. So I am doing this presentation from a Mac. So I will not be showing you a lot of the features because I'm using a Mac and I don't want to confuse you. So that's why we'll be showing about 2 or 3 videos about the features of Microsoft Office. For some of you, this may be stuff that you already know, but I didn't want to make any assumptions in case there are features that parents or students are just not aware of. So for those of you who are watching live, I'd be interested to know afterwards when you fill out the survey, if you are already, and you and your district are already familiar with these tools and use them, and to what extent do you use the features in Microsoft Office that are dedicated to help with accessibility. So why is it important that we even talk about technology, or that we encourage students and all students to use the features that are available to them? Well, more than 1 billion people need assistive products to be independent and productive, but only 1 in 10 have access. So Microsoft, and this is going to look like one big infomercial for Microsoft, and I'm not on their payroll. I'm just helping us use one of the most common softwares that are available that likely we're all using, and that's why we're focusing on it. But Microsoft, I did sip the Kool-Aid, and I am now all Microsoft, thinking they are trying to help and make sure all of our students have equal access and fair access to these products by making as many as free and incorporated into their existing technology as possible. So many schools have partnered with Microsoft to have them installed on the computer, and also to have access to some of these features. So it's important because whether we like it or not, people are using these things, and if it's going to help students to communicate better, then why not use these tools? So what are some of the benefits of using technology? And we've had some webinars on technology and utilizing technology. So this will be about our 3rd or 4th in the series. So definitely enables teachers to offer new and more effective ways of learning, especially since we've been in this face-to-face / hybrid / remote environment. Whatever we thought about technology a year ago no longer probably applies, because we've all been forced in some way, shape, or form to rely on technology, whether it be personal or professional. It allows for differentiated instruction. So we have an entire webinar on differentiated instruction. So meeting students where they're at and taking them to that next level is individual for each student. So allowing for those that are more higher performing or less performing, to do different things with in front of their computers. Ensures enhanced and equitable learning environments for all students. So as long as we are able to provide technology to all students and recognize how some may have limited technology when they leave your schools, whether it be because of their parents' internet bandwidth or just how many devices they have at home, or how many students are using the same device. We want to make sure that at least when students are in front of us in our classrooms, or access to our laptops, that they have the tools to be successful, and each student has that. And then, as you probably know, teaching face-to-face and with students that may not be remote, this technology has now allowed students to interact in this hybrid environment that most of us are in right now, and has been for a good couple of months now. When help students meet the goals of the individualized education plans, the IEPs, definitely using technology to help, and putting these specific technology goals in the IEPs will help to make all of us more accountable. Help students develop a range of technical skills. So students, and it also keeps students' interest. So when students transition into the workforce, or into the college of their choice, this is going to help them have that competitive advantage. Students that are learning in different languages, some of the tools that Microsoft has does allow the ability for translation in different languages. So helping us able to communicate, and that especially for those that are not English language, for those of us who are English language learners. And then technology can be fun, whether it's Kahoot, whether it's Flipgrid, and we've done workshops on these, enhances students' motivation, enjoyment, and ability to work independently. So that's why we're constantly talking about technology and ways technology can help with our students. So there are different types of technologies out there, but I think for the most part, in schools across the country, especially in your districts here in Florida, uh, we have computers, and students probably have their own computers that have been given by the school, laptop cards that you're using to help with hybrid, and maybe even have the cameras, smart boards. And I have done extensive Googling on smart boards about whether it's one word, a singular word, or a compound word, and it varies. So we're using it as smart boards, and smart for sometimes is an acronym as well. And then maybe some of your students didn't get laptops, maybe they just got tablets, or they have tablets at home. So this is, I think, the common types of technology that is out there for students that are in our classrooms, and are going through this time when we are in a hybrid situation. But as well, and we had a workshop that covered a lot of assistive technology, and this will too to some extent. But there's also, of course, assistive technology to help our students. And if you want to do a basic definition of assistive technology, any type of equipment or software that helps students to work around the challenges they have, uh, with either with learning or communication or mobility. So that's what assistive technology is. And when you talk about assistive technology, there's typically two types of assistive technologies: high tech and low tech. High tech are devices or equipment with digital or electronic components, and we're going to go over some of these now. They have augmentative communication devices, alternative keyboards, power wheelchairs. So those are more high tech. And then you have some low tech, which are simple tools such as timers, graphic organizers, those things that can help to benefit students. So here are just a few that I came across that are most used by students. So you have voice synthesizers, where students can ask and respond to questions. While it seems like voice synthesizers are something extremely new, they actually generated in 1936. So since 1936, there have been some type of voice synthesizer. You are probably very familiar with voice synthesizers. If you have a device at home, such as an Alexa, and I need to whisper, or else I will activate her. Siri. Sorry, I don't know that. See, there she is. Google Home. All these different devices that use voice synthesizer. If you call I know that when I call Comcast and Xfinity, I get their voice recognition software, and I'm always trying to bypass it, always trying to say agent, agent, operator, customer service. So those types of devices that understand, recognize, and are also able to talk back to you are voice synthesizers or speech recognition. Probably some of the most common that you will know about or be familiar with is Dragon speech recognition. So I think some schools have Dragon software. Electric wheelchairs uh, allow students to provide independent movement through the school or around the community. There's text and graphic enhancement software. It will go over what Microsoft has to offer for that. Amplification devices that block out background noise. Also, there are FM systems, which are wireless devices that transmit sounds to a hearing aid to communicate clearly with students who may have hearing loss. And then there are features, word processing, editing, spell checking, and grammar tools. Those are some of the more low tech, but equally essential, especially when we are trying to get and measure whether students are learning. A lot of time, teachers, parents can be distracted if there's spelling errors, grammar errors, any type of literacy, sentence structure, spelling, grammar, vocabulary, can sometimes take away from for us being able to measure whether students learned or not. So these tools help to combat that so that we can focus on students' work if they demonstrated understanding. Were there ideas there? Were they insightful? Did they make any helpful observations? Was there an analysis? Was the information innovative? So using word processing and editing software helps the students to demonstrate more truly what they understand. So if you have the Windows or PC, similar to Siri for a Mac or for an iPhone, the artificial intelligence voice is Cortana in Windows. So if in case students don't want to choose a network, they can enter their Microsoft account if they have one, and if it's associated with the school. They can go to customize or use express settings and then just choose yes, and then they can have Cortana be the verbal assistant and help with cues. And if I'm mentioning her and it's going off because you have it, I apologize. I will try and stop. But yeah, so definitely expose students to Cortana, and you could change the voice. So all in Office 365, and there are different versions out there, but you'll have something called an ease of access center. And this is where you'll see a lot of your accessibility options. And you'll be able to customize those in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook. So if you do have a PowerPoint, so you'd be able to download and have these directions. But if not, you can right now take a picture on your phone to determine where these ease of actions are. So, but if you open any Office application, you'll select File, Options, and then Ease of Access, and then you'll be ready to customize your accessibility options. And here's more specific for those who are Windows members. Right from the sign-in screen, you can press that Windows logo key or the Start key, plus U to open the ease of access settings. Or if you have a touchscreen device, you can swipe in from the right edge of the screen, select all settings, and then ease of access. Ease of access will give you stuff that you'll be able to manipulate and make easier for you or for the students. So they can adjust their display. They can adjust their mouse pointer, their text cursors. They can turn on the magnifying feature, which we're going to go over, the color filters, which we're going to go over, high contrast, and also narrative, have the information that's on their computer read to them through a screen reader. So this is why it's important that at least students turn on the ease of access options. And you may have to do that for all their computers, depending on the level of comfortability your students have with their computers. So as I said, these are some features of the access settings in Windows 10. So there's something called eye control, which I'm going to show you a video for momentarily. It allows students with physical disabilities to control windows with their gaze by using eye control. This is a feature. They do have to get another accessory in order to use the eye tracking device. You can also allow students with blindness and low vision to work through the combination of Zoom and screen narration capabilities with narrator, and to activate narrator, Windows logo key plus control plus enter, and magnifier, Windows logo key plus sign or Windows logo key and minus sign. That allows to zoom in or out. There's also something called color filters for those with color blindness, can use color filters and can adjust the contrast and resolution by clicking on color filters, by clicking on start button, settings, ease of access, and color filters. So we're going to switch to a video now where I'm going to show you what the eye feature looks like. So let me pull up. So there was an official Microsoft video that talked about eye, but I chose this video because I really wanted you to see the student and how the student interacts with the Windows software, because it is fascinating to see the student do it. So so let me play the video, and then I am going to pause to point out some stuff during the video.
Hey there guys, Zach here for Windows Central and welcome back to another video. Now today we're taking a look at the new eye tracking feature coming to Windows 10 with the full Creators Update later this year. This feature allows you to control your PC with just your eyes. So this is an ease of access feature that Microsoft has been working on with Tobii and other eye tracking hardware manufacturers, and what this does is sort of make it easier for those who have trouble using mice and keyboards, or who can't use mice and keyboards at all, and allows them to use their PC like normal. So it does require a bit of extra hardware. In this case, we're using the Tobii Eye Tracking 4C device, and it also requires you to install their third-party software as well, just to get things set up and calibrated and whatnot. It also comes with some interesting games and settings, which we'll take a look at after. But for now, I just want to take a look at the built-in native stuff that Microsoft has been working on in Windows 10. So if we jump into ease of access here, scroll down to other options, you'll see there's a new option down.
So I am pausing here because I do want to see he accessed the ease of access, which I don't have. But you can see, if you look to the left, you will see what I just talked about. You will see the narrator, magnifier, color and high contrast, closed captions, keyboard and mouse. So when you click on ease of access, you do see now on his screen all the different options that are available to you. And he's going to be focused on the eye control, so he's going to go turn that on right now.
Down here called Eye Control, which is in beta. And once I turn this on, you'll see at the top of the screen that a new bar will appear. And this bar will give us 4 options that allow us to interact with the PC with our eyes. So that's the bar up there. Now, I'm not looking at it yet, because once I start looking at it, the bar will begin activating and launching into different features and stuff. So if I look away for a minute or just look down at the bottom of the screen, I can describe to you what's on the bar. So on the far left, we have the option that switches the bar from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen. Next to that, we have the keyboard, which does pretty much what you would expect. This is an on-screen keyboard which you can interact with your eyes. To the right of that, we have these text-to-speech option, which allows me to type in a sentence and have the narrator play that sentence out loud. And then on the far right, we have the mouse option, which is sort of the on-screen cursor, which once activated, I can look around and interact with things on the screen. So we'll take a look at that one first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to raise my hands here on the webcam so you can see my hands are in the frame, and I'm going to look at the mouse cursor up here. And now
So right now, the student is now showing you how he is controlling the computer with his eyes, not using his hands.
I'm controlling the mouse on the PC. Well, sort of. This is giving me a sort of highlight of where I want the mouse to go. And then from there, I can fine tune the mouse position. So if I want to close the window here, I just have to look up at the X in this window. Then I can fine tune my position of the mouse and then press the left click button to close that. So if I want to open the start menu, I can come down here, refine my option, and then I can launch the start menu like that, which is fantastic. So let's do it again. Let's launch Edge. Like that, pretty simple. And now I can sort of select the address bar up here, select the keyboard, and then type in Control A for select all. Then I can do delete, and then I can type in my own URL, Windows Central. Oh, there we go. And then I can press enter on that, and that will take me to Windows Central. Fantastic. So let's make this full screen here. I can do that by quickly navigating to the full screen button. And there we go, that window is now full screen, which is fantastic. So that's pretty much how it works. It's really quite simple and really quite fascinating. Again, I'm not using the mouse and keyboard at all. In the frame, my hands are still here. And you can see that all I've been using the entire PC with my eyes all along. So there's also the text-to-speech option, which I can quickly sort of type out a sentence. But not only that, this also supports shape writing, just like on Windows Phone and on the tablet keyboard on Windows 10 full Creators Update. So if I turn that on here and sort of glance at the letters I want to type, hopefully the keyboard will be smart enough to form a sentence for me. So I'm going to say, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, which is what I always type. And hopefully with the shape writing, Windows is able to get that. So let's do that now. So I'm going to sort of glance at the T and then from there begin gliding through the keyboard. The quick brown fox, come on, yes, jumped over the lazy dog. Oh, where's G? Oh, I went to the wrong place. Dish. No, because I forgot where G was. Let's backspace on that. Let's do it again. Dog. There we go. And then I can play that out loud. And hopefully that played out loud. And there you go. I have now successfully typed out a sentence and played that through the narrator. You might not have heard that. I apologize if you didn't, but it did play out loud and it was really, really, really awesome. So that's pretty much how typing works on this device. You can either use the swipe option or you could not use the swipe option. It's up to you. It depends on what you're trying to type, I guess, because sometimes autocorrect isn't great. So turning off swipe would be better. But this isn't the only stuff that the eye tracking does. That's the Windows 10 stuff. So Microsoft's work with the eye tracking is mainly for ease of access users. As I said, it's to help those who can't use mice and keyboards get around the system. But Toby itself has sort of done a few additional tweaks that sort of enhance the experience for those who can use mice and keyboards. So if we turn off the Windows 10 specific features here, go back into ease of access and turn it off and launch the Toby eye tracker software, you'll see that in settings, there are a bunch of different options that are on by default once you install the software, including this stuff. So this stuff here is grayed out for a reason, likely because I'm using this on a laptop, but on a desktop where this stuff makes sense, if I walk away from my PC, the screen will know to automatically dim and turn off. And then if I walk back in front of it, it will turn the screen back on. Just some handy uses like that. So touch at gaze allows you to quickly jump around the screen without having to move your cursor too much. So for example, if my cursor is sitting around up here doing its thing and I'm staring at the start button and I want to get to the start button, instead of manually moving my cursor all the way to the bottom left of the screen, all I have to do is stare at the start button, place my finger on the trackpad, and as you saw there, the cursor jumped from the top right to the bottom left instantly, which is great. And I can quickly access the start menu like that. And that also works with the mouse as well. So you can see here, you can make the mouse warp on move. So if I'm down here, for example, and I want to quickly get up to the X of this window, I just have to look at the X and then quickly move. And hey, there it is. I'm now up here ready to go. So it sort of allows you to move around the screen a lot quicker. It's really quite handy. And there's also additional options here as well. So within Windows itself, you can make it so the app knows to select certain things when you're in certain areas. So if I'm in the task switcher here, for example, and I have multiple apps open, that'll help. If I go to here, if I stare at each one app, you can see there, and again, this isn't me doing that. I'm staring at Explorer here, or I'm staring at the settings, Explorer, settings, Explorer. Then I can hit enter, and that will take me to Explorer like that.
So I'm going to pause here in the interest of time. That is just to show you how the eye feature works. You do have to have additional software. One software company is called Toby, and that could be anywhere. It could run about $200 for that additional software. But as these things become more prevalent and there's more competition, I predict that these will go, those prices will go down. So that is the eye control feature. There's also the narrator feature. Narrator is the built-in screen reader that reads text on your screen aloud, describes events such as notifications, calendar appointments, and there are the directions to start or stop narrator. Narrator can jump between headings and landmarks and apps. You can enable in scan mode, et cetera, et cetera. So that's narrator. And then these are some of the commands that you can do with narrator for buttons, edit fields, headings, links, paragraphs, radio, tables, checkboxes. So here's a little cheat sheet with some of the commands that'll help you to navigate narrator. So the PowerPoint is available to you. This will be a slide you want handy when you're with narrator, or you can also just take a picture of the screen and have that on your phone permanently. And there's also magnifier. Magnifier is a tool that enlarges your screen so you can see words and images better. You can magnify the entire screen or just part of it, move the magnifier where you want it on your desktop. It can also smooth edges, images, and text. And there's a couple of more keyboard shortcuts, when you open magnifier, what to press, when you turn on magnifier and zoom in, when you zoom out, and then to exit magnifier as well. I believe I have a quick video, and then there's learning tools. Over 10 million educators and students use the learning tools available to Microsoft. What do these learning tools do? And I talked a little bit about it before. You can have any e-page, PDF document read to you. You can adjust fonts and line spacing, personalize how many lines of text are in focus, show breaks between syllables, and have parts of speeches highlighted to improve writing quality. And how do you use the learning tools? You can open any Microsoft document, and on the view tab, click in the immersive section, select learning tools, and then you'll see the column width, page color, text spacing, syllables, and the read aloud feature. So let me show you a video that's going to demonstrate some of this. So bear with me. So first, let's do how to use let's do the learning tools first.
Hi, I'm Caroline Bateman, and in this video, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the accessibility features within Office 365 Word, and in particular within Learning Tools. Now, many people have purchased Office 365, but they're blissfully unaware of the Learning Tools functionality. So I'm going to show it to you quickly now. Even if you haven't purchased Office 365, it's really worth watching this video because it's possible to get Office 365 free through schools. Certain schools have a license that enables you to do this, but more about this towards the end of the video. Here I'm in Microsoft Word Office 365 version, and I'm looking at a revision chemistry book or a chemistry revision booklet, and this was supplied by the teacher. And it's always worth asking teachers to supply electronic or soft copies of notes because there's so much that students can do if they have an electronic copy. And so you have a clearer view, I'm going to just change the display so we've got it nice and big. So here's our chemistry revision booklet. And to have a look at the learning tools, we go into the View tab. So normally we work here in the Home tab, and these are the features that you're used to seeing. But when we go into View, we have some more features available. And right next to learning tools, we have the ability to focus. So I'm going to show you that quickly because in fact, if I click there, it tells you what it does. It eliminates any distractions. It's very simple. You click that and it gets rid of anything on the screen other than what the student has to concentrate on. And you get the distractions back by pressing escape. So now we're going to look at learning tools. And before I go into it, I want to explain that it is providing an individualized view of this document. So here is what the document looks like. And if I was to send that to other people, this is what they would open. And if I was to collaborate with other people all working on this document at the same time, this is what they would see. But I can set learning tools to provide me with a view of the document that I can then edit that suits my learning needs. And I'm going to go in and show it to you because it's easier to see than to explain. So I see straight away that it's changed the background color and it's changed the spacing between the letters and the spacing between the lines. And these are the other options that I have available to me. So I can change the column width. So currently I have it on wide, but I could make it very narrow. Personally, I'm happy with it wide, but for some students that will really help. I've already set my page color to what my preference is, but different people have different preferences, and you can change it to be anything you want, and then anything you open will come in this color if you're using learning tools. Something else that a lot of students find very helpful is this line focus, being able to read through a document a line at a time, or perhaps 3 lines at a time, or even 5 lines at a time. Personally, I'm quite happy not to use that, but students tend to really like this. We have the option to split out syllables. So this has now provided syllable division. And for some students, it will really help them read words because the syllables are split. But for those students, they will love this feature.
Elements. They don't contain just one type of atom. Water.
It brings up this little toolbar, and I can jump forward, go back, I can change the speed, and I can change the voice. And what we saw there is it actually highlights each word, so it's an immersion reading experience.
Water, H2O, is made of 2 types of...
And that is fantastic for students when they have to read information to learn. I personally am a very, very good reader, but I find if I listen at the same time as I read, it really helps me to focus, and it means I don't reread information in order to gain understanding. And I've done a lot of videos on Read Aloud, and I would recommend you go in and check them out. It's not only helpful in instances like this, it's also helpful when students type their own work. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. So here I have a piece of a student's work, and there are mistakes in there that the student isn't able to see, but they can hear them.
The person walking through the door is called Luke, age 11, and must be the tallest boy in the class. He's got a mop of red curly hair and freckles. Everyone like Luke because he always got a job to tell that make us laugh.
So students who cannot see their mistakes can hear their mistakes. And if they can hear them, they can correct them and get better grades. There's a lot more functionality that I could show you, but I'd recommend you watch my video on the benefits of touch.
So there's a little bit about the learning tools I just showed you. One detail, if you're having students use this, is that you always want to click on the left justify, and that makes it easier. The left, have everything organized to the left. because if you hit justify, which spaces everything out, then it also spaces out the words, and it makes it a little bit more challenging for Microsoft Reader to read the words. So if you're creating a document that you want students to access and use the reader, make sure everything is left justifies, and that you use a sans serif font like Arial. I'm going to just show them the next video on magnifier, since we're already on Chrome. Oh, oops. I think I just axed out of Chrome, so never mind on that. All right, so there's some videos we're going to put in the chat for you to also to look at to help you. So Office 365 also, there's a couple of other features that would help you enable students with learning disabilities such as dyslexia to write effectively. There's something called Editor in Word and Outlook, and you probably have used this as well when you finish a document and you see the squiggly lines and all the recommendations that it makes. Editor can help with that, can also show synonyms alongside spelling suggestions. There's Dictate, and I use this on my Mac. It lets students type via voice. So you press the dictate button and everything you say gets translated onto the Word document or the PowerPoint or Outlook. There's also PowerPoint Designer. And if you created a PowerPoint and you click on Personal Assistant, it is for me in the Mac, or PowerPoint Assistant, then it takes your slides and it gives you different options, different presentation options. So that's something I have found helpful. There is Tell Me. So just like the screen reader and keyboard user would tell me, lets them perform actions and applications without navigating. If you look at the light bulb, so if you're on a Word document, you'll see a little light bulb on the screen, probably towards the top. And in that light bulb, you can say, how do I hyperlink? You can ask questions, and then Microsoft Word has some pre-made responses. So that's good for the Tell Me feature. And then for students with visual impairments to understand images, there's automatic alternative text in PowerPoint and PCs. So that's where you click on a picture and you are able to see you are able to also, if you're using the reader, then there's text that describes what the picture is for those that cannot, with visual impairments. So if for example, if I have a picture of a dog, then I can click on alternative text and I can write on, this is a picture of a brown dog sitting in a grass field. So it does give you that option. It also says automatic. You can use intelligent services and let Microsoft tell you what that picture is. But as you know, it probably may not always be correct. So you want to make sure that you use that. There's also other free features that are being worked on. Office Lens. Think of it as like a virtual Rolodex, so students can take pictures of things and then they can edit those pictures. They can trim it, they can sort them, and then they could use OneNote to recognize the text, and it allows them to search for words and images. So Office Lens is one. Seeing AI, that's an iOS application for students who have blind or low vision. The camera app uses channels to read printed text, currency, and it also describes objects. And this is in different languages. So Dutch, English, French, German, Japanese, and Spanish are all part of this. So that's good for your English language learners. There's Dictate, which we talked about. You press the microphone button and you're able to type and translate. There's Microsoft Translator, which automatically captions and transcribes presentations in more than 60 languages. So if students find a presentation or are interested in maybe like a career services webinar that's taking place somewhere else in another country, they can download the app, press their language, and then be able to hear that if the conference or speaker is using that. And there's also Microsoft Stream, which generates automatic transcript for videos in English and Spanish. So all these features that are available to you with Office 365. Visibility, if you're focused on visibility, high contrast increases the color contrast between the foreground and background on your screen, making text and images more distinct and easier to identify. And those are the directions to turn on high contrast. You can choose different themes in high contrast setting. And those are the directions for that. Choose a high contrast theme from the drop-down menu and select apply. If text and other items are too small, you can make them larger without changing the screen. And you can press on the Windows logo key and display it for that. And as I stated previously, you can zoom in and out of documents. You can increase the size of pages in Word documents, PowerPoint slides, the zoom in and out, control the mouse. Or you can use the slider on the status bar to zoom in and out. Or you can use your eyes if students have that software. So those are some of the features that we talked about in Microsoft Office that are going to be used for to help students and to help students in our classrooms to be successful. I did want to also go over some technology computer skills for those novice students who absolutely have no idea how to use a computer. Here are some tips for the beginners to get them to be comfortable. So you can add to your classroom responsibilities, you can have students turn computers on and have them come off. And that could be part of their classroom assignments, classroom responsibilities, that one person can go around and do that for the class. You can also have someone close out of apps and programs. So for some students, this could be an independent task with verbal reminders. For other students, this could be a hand-over-hand task or a heavily prompted task. You know your students' abilities, so you can determine to what extent this can be a task. How to use a mouse. Some students get confused, clicking right and clicking left. So you can use a sticker label for the left and the right on a computer mouse, where students can click green for yes or red for no. So, and also you can using a keyboard. You can use stickers if EZC keyboard is not an option. There are also some typing programs out there, keyboarding without tears, to make students feel more comfortable with typing and make them faster typers. I came across a research study that shows that the more words students are able to put on paper and faster, the more competitive advantage they're going to have being able to communicate, especially when it comes to writing essays in a timed in a timed situation, because they're able to just type the words faster. Remembering passwords, that's probably something all of us can use. You can place a label or paper on a desk with the student's login information. You could use index cards with the usernames and passwords. Obviously, we would encourage students to just use that for that computer in that classroom and not their own personal, where other people can have access to. And you could also teach students how to use voice commands. So these are 6 simple steps for those students who are just now learning about computers, especially in the future with that. Here are some additional tips that if you have the opportunity to do so, it's important to do that. You want to check to make sure that students have access to functioning computer equipment. If that is in your control, that'll be helpful for students. You yourself want to be confident and knowledgeable and instill that same confidence in them. If you attended our last webinar, we talked about decision making and choice making, and this is a great opportunity to practice some of those skills by giving students options when using computers. Use positive teaching strategies to help the students to learn learning about computers and meeting them at their levels. You want to always yourself continue training on using teaching strategies to encourage students independence and communication, and them not to be afraid to use the software, but to know that the software is there to help them. Consult with parents about software and hardware. We want to make sure that we're giving an environment with equal access and equal opportunities. So when students leave your classrooms and go back home, then the abilities and capabilities are going to be different. So consulting with parents. And then when you can, integrating computers into your IEP strategies. And you could do that for oral language, reading, writing, math and cognitive social development. So rather than focusing on a separate section like here, computers, you may want to infuse computers into those individual strategies and goals. And here are some recommendations for leaders. So if you are a community partner or principal or work in the district and you want to start computer literacy or start educating and helping students to use technology and be confident about the skills, here are a couple of steps that you can do to do that. You want to increase dissemination of information on software, hardware, and teaching strategies for parents and educators of students with disabilities. So you want to make sure that is a partnership when at all possible from all stages, from the development to the execution. Having parents and educators involved in that process is going to help with the buy-in. Increase training on the use of software and hardware, and also training changes as technology changes. So you want to adjust if it's possible. You want to make sure everyone has the same, if it's Windows 10 or Windows 2020, have the same software, so that way when you are training and doing these types of workshops, then everyone could be on the same page, because what you're seeing is exactly what they're seeing. You want to have a mechanism by which the computer equipment allocated to students can be rapidly and or periodically reassessed to see if it was functioning as intended. Probably many of you have already had to do this because of having students go remotely and distributing computers to them. But you want to make sure at all times, when possible, that you can make sure that the equipment is functioning correctly. Some general guidelines concerning the frequency or use of computer equipment, which will most benefit students. So you want to have those guidelines about computer usage and have those readily available and accessible so that everyone understands that. You want to have guidelines for integrating the use of computers into IEP strategies. And as I mentioned previously, try and not make that just a separate section, but to incorporate it into all the strategies. And then make sure you include the depth of coverage expected. And then personal contact and communication about students learning between home and school, and joint training sessions. So going back to the first point, having that communication with parents and having that available to them, making sure that they understand what technology skills are available to the students. If there is additional software, maybe the school can get at a discounted rate. But if there's additional software that you think can help students, that would be recommended. Here are some resources. Of course, the Florida Department of Education Technology Guidelines has some resources available. I got a lot of this presentation from them, a lot of the presentation from the actual Microsoft education website. So Microsoft website has all videos and tutorials on these different things that are available, technology skills for students. Also, a few others I want to make sure I mention. If you're using Microsoft Team Stream, you want to upload videos there, and that'll automatically generate a caption file. Of course, you want to review the captions to make sure they're accurate. For images, you want to make sure you add alt text to images. And when you use alt text to describe images, make sure it's clear and concise. You want to use the accessibility checker, and that's in Microsoft Word. We're not going to have time to watch that video, but we will follow up with you. The two other videos that I had to show, we don't have time now, but one of those videos does show you about accessibility checker. So we'll put that in the chat, and then you will be able to watch that video about accessibility checker and how you can create documents in Microsoft Word and make sure that it is accessible with the accessibility checker, and then correct anything. They're going to point out things that can improve with the images that you have selected, things that may improve with the color. They'll do a color checker to make sure that you can check that those that are colorblind can be able to read it. Another quick tip for a color is to print something in grayscale. And if you can see it in grayscale, then most likely the students will be able to see it. And if you're having problems in grayscale, then you need to change some of those colors and some of the contrast. The heading structures, when you click on when you put a document in Word, it's not going to automatically tell you, if you have a document, let's say, and it's a paper and it has headings and it has subheadings and it has titles, it's not going to tell the student, just because you put a larger font, it's not going to tell the student, oh, this is a title. The title of this slide is resources. You have to actually highlight the word and click on the formatting tools and click on title. And then when the students do the screen reader, it'll say title, resources, subheading, Florida Department of Education Technology guidelines. And that video does a quick view of that. And it also helps with the reading order. When you click on it, it'll tell you like similar like an outline, and it'll help you follow along and let you know if you've done everything in the outline. You want to make sure you're descriptive in your information and your presentations. And there are features also in PowerPoint and that we don't have time to go over, and Excel. But if you're interested in going more in depth, you can put that on the comments or in the survey, how much more in depth you want to go into some of these items, then we can do that for you. And of course, you also have my email. Microsoft Teams, we didn't get into Microsoft Teams, but Microsoft Teams is used, as you are probably know, to share content. So that helps with those students in real time who are in front of you and at home. You can add audio descriptions to videos when necessary. And just the more familiar you will be with these tools, the more familiar, the more students will see this at an advantage, students of all abilities, to use these tools to help them with their learning. So I'd like to end with a quote, and this one from Benjamin Franklin: "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." So using this technology, especially now, if for some of you this is the first time you've heard it, or maybe if you learned a new tip, you want to use it so that way you don't forget it. So having students at their levels, meeting students at their levels in front of the computer and having them more comfortable with technology and having this hands-on training and walking them through these different features, that'll help them to remember more by doing that. So that's the quote I wanted to leave with you for today.